everybody. I will call our City Council meeting of February 11th, 2020 to order. I invite everybody to please stand if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item is the open forum, and before we begin the open forum, I do just want to share a few brief comments. So as many of you know, for more than 5 months, the city of Richfield and Edina and our communities have been struggling with uncertainty and grief as an investigation that happened in September 7th with our officer-involved shooting unfolded. Yesterday, the Hennepin County Attorney's Office announced that 5 officers involved in the incident were justified in their actions and that no criminal charges will be brought against them. Everything that transpired at that event has impacted everybody involved, and from the Quinones family to the officers in our community. I, along with the rest of the city council and the city staff, understand that this has been a very difficult and challenging process, and it's been a very long process as well. And we are committed to working with everybody impacted in our community by this event, and we will continue to strive to move forward and heal and together as one city. And as a reminder, we welcome all of our residents and others tonight to share their thoughts during our open forum, and that this is not a space for discussion back and forth, but that it is an opportunity to listen to our residents and hear their comments to the council. And we also have comment cards from our staff, and if you'd like a comment card, you can get one from our city manager, Rodriguez. And if you'd like response to your forum questions, please include your email. So thank you very much for letting me share the statement. Is anybody here for the open forum? All right, seeing as nobody is here for the open forum, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the Special Concurrent City Council and Housing Redevelopment Authority work session of January 21st, 2020, the Special City Council work session of January 23rd, 2020, and the City Council work session of January 28th, 2020, and the City Council meeting of January 28th, 2020.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes have been approved. The next item is the approval of the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The agenda has been approved. The next item is the consent calendar, and it goes to our city manager, Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor. The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the City Council in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved. No further council action on these items is necessary. Item A, first reading of transitory ordinance providing funding for certain capital improvements from the Special Revenue Fund. Item B, consider the adoption of a resolution authorizing acceptance of Office of Traffic Safety, OTS, funds for a vehicle to be used for distracted driving enforcement. Item C, continue consideration of a land use application for Chase Bank at Market Plaza, 6501 Woodlake Drive, to February 24th, 2020. And I submit these items for your consideration as part of the consent calendar.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Any comments from council members? All in favor?
Aye.
The consent calendar has been approved. The next item goes to Councilmember Supple.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This item is to consider approval of an ordinance and summary publication of said ordinance amending Section 405 of the City Code related to housing maintenance and adopting the International Property Maintenance Code, hereafter referred to as IPMC. In order to protect public health, safety, and welfare, the city has established a number of housing maintenance standards. These regulations are generally found in Section 504 of the City Code and have been in place in some form since the early 1980s. In 1998, the International Code Council published its first International Property Maintenance Code. The IPMC establishes minimum requirements for the maintenance of existing buildings through model code regulations that contain clear and specific property maintenance and improvement provisions. 2 states, New York and Virginia, and over 600 jurisdictions have adopted the IPMC with individual modifications, including at least 22 cities in Minnesota. The IPMC is updated on a 3-year cycle. The city's housing inspectors have long desired the adoption of the IPMC, which provides clearer and more specific language than the city's current housing code. Adoption of the IPMC by reference with the proposed minor amendments will not change property maintenance requirements within the city, but rather will allow housing inspectors to cite specific and clear code language to property owners and managers, and thereby provide better guidance and customer service. Did staff want to add anything?
Mayor, members of the council, just to reiterate, this isn't going to change the practices that our housing inspectors and environmental health officers already enforce. Instead, it gives better guidance, clearer language that is going to help us provide better customer service. It provides more consistency amongst our inspectors. They're not doing as much interpretation, rather they're citing specific code language. Also, this consolidates the regulations that we're already enforcing. For instance, the plumbing code, it specifically cites the plumbing code, cites the regulations of the plumbing code or the building code, all into one document. So this is just going to be easier to enforce and easier to understand.
So I would move to approve the attached ordinance amending Section 405 Housing Code of the City Code and adopting by reference and as amended the International Property Maintenance Code, and to approve a resolution authorizing summary publication of the attached ordinance amending Section 405 Housing Code of the City Code and adopting by reference as amended the International Property Maintenance Code.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments from council members? Councilmember Whalen.
I just wanted to thank staff. I had asked some questions ahead of time, and I again, you summed it up well then, and you summed it up well just now. That I think this is kind of a confusing, or can be a confusing action to take, but I think it makes a lot of sense, and will make things less confusing for our property owners and managers, and ensure just better quality buildings for our residents and everyone who visits Richfield. So thanks for your work on this.
I would like to just second that as well. Anything that can help provide clarity and support to our staff to just make it less stressful and less difficult, and provide more clear guidance and help provide customer service, especially in an area like housing, is extremely important. So I'm glad we're doing this, and thank you to the staff and to our inspectors. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion has been approved. And this is the second one?
We did both of them together.
Okay. The next item was to go to Councilmember Garcia, but unfortunately she is not with us tonight. So the item is consideration of the approval of agreements with nonprofit organizations to provide social services to the city of Richfield and authorization to the city manager to execute agreements with those agencies. The 2020 city budget includes funding for organizations that provide social services that are deemed to be of benefit to the city and to the community in general. The 2020 budget includes $70,000 for these purposes. In November of 2019, staff distributed a request for proposals for social services to nonprofit agencies. Excuse me. Serving the city of Richfield for services to be provided in 2020. A total of 10 proposals were received for for the following agencies: Headwater Emotional Health, the Storefront Group, Cornerstone Advocacy Services, the Family Partnership, Transportation Resources to Aid Independent Living, Trail, Volunteers Enlisted to Assist People, VEEP, Loaves and Fishes, YMCA Thrive, Planned Parenthood, Senior Community Services, Módulo de Información de Recursos y Apoyo, MIRA, and MIRA. The proposals represent a wide variety of social services offered to Richfield residents. The organizations requested a total amount of $129,060, exceeding the city's available funding. 2 Richfield residents assisted in the review of the proposals and subsequent funding recommendations. The review committee's recommendations took into account the type of services to be provided, the target populations to be served, and past performances of the social service agencies. Of the 10 proposals received, 2 were not recommended for funding: YMCA Thrive and Planned Parenthood. The following table details the review committee's recommendations. And if folks would like to see the detailed table, you can go to our agenda on the city website. A complete overview of all services to be provided by the various organizations is attached. I'll pass it over to staff to see if there's any additional comments on this item.
Sure, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I would just add that, you know, we believe strongly that all of the organizations that submitted applications do great work, but given our limited funding and the significant requests we received, we really had to work hard to prioritize where our funds go and meeting the needs of our residents and focusing on some core services, and also focusing on those organizations that have some real close connections with city departments and or providing services that the city really needs but doesn't do itself. I could just point out, for example, Headway works closely with our schools and the police. Cornerstone works very closely with our police department. The Family Partnership is located within our schools, providing mental health services. Trail works closely with our adaptive recreation program. VEEP has been a longtime partner of both the community development department, as well as other community departments. Loaves and Fishes, of course, provides meals, something just very critical and basic for our residents. Senior Community Services works closely with the community center and the senior services that are provided there. And then finally, MIRA is going to be working with all departments to help improve our services to our Spanish-speaking residents. And so again, we do think they're all doing great work, but those were the tough decisions we had to make, was to focus our efforts. So if you have any other questions, some of the organizations are here this evening, if you have questions for any of them specifically.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Supple?
I just wanted to thank all of the organizations, because I see daily some of the work that they're doing, and it's really appreciated in the community. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from council members? Councilmember Whalen.
Thank you. I want to just echo what our staff have already shared, but I think all of these organizations are great. They all serve our residents. That I want to thank the folks who helped kind of review the applications, make the final decisions. It's not an easy decision, and it's not a statement about the value of the organizations, but more kind of based in those partnerships that have been built. I did also want to share, I had a request from Joe McDonald, the CEO at VEEP, who unfortunately a couple family illnesses and other things came up. None of their staff were able to be here, but he just asked that I read this on his behalf. Good evening, Mayor Maria Regan Gonzalez, City Council members Edwina Garcia, Mary Supple, Simon Troutman, and Ben Whalen, and City Manager Katie Rodriguez. On behalf of VEEP's staff, Board of Directors, volunteers, and most importantly, the people who participate in and receive support from VEEP's food, housing, and social service programs, thank you for your continued support of VEEP. Our mission at VEEP is this: together, we create pathways to stronger, more hopeful communities through access to healthy food, housing stability, and supportive services. The city of Richfield is an integral part of our together and has been for a very long time. Richfield and its residents, businesses, faith communities, schools, and nonprofit agencies are critically important partners in our fight to eliminate food insecurity and housing instability in Richfield, Bloomington, Edina, and South Minneapolis. Almost 7,000 of the more than 24,000 individuals who participated in VEEP's programs in 2019 are Richfield residents, and we are committed to continue our efforts to understand and meet the needs of the families, individuals, seniors, and children living in Richfield and the rest of our service area. We're grateful for your generosity and your partnership in providing essential supports to people who call Richfield their home. Sincerely, Joe McDonald, CEO of VEEP.
Thank you, Councilmember Whalen. I know that there's several folks here from the organizations listed. I know you weren't planning on this at all, but if you would like to come up and speak or say anything, you're more than welcome to. If not, that's okay too. But I just wanted to say thank you, and if you're interested in sharing anything, you're more than welcome to come up and say something. All right. Well, thank you very much for attending. And thank you to all the organizations for the amazing work that you do in Richfield. It's so important. It takes a whole community, all the organizations, our schools, our businesses, our government, our residents, neighbors, to make our community a welcoming, inclusive, great place. And that's definitely what we have. And we greatly appreciate from the city the partnership that you have with us and all of the service that you give to our residents. You're on the front lines as well of helping our community feel connected and feel valued. So thank you for your work, and I look forward to stopping at your organizations and getting to meet folks and learning more about the work that you all do. So, all right, and did you make them, was there, this is my
Do you
item.
want us to do that?
Sure,
Okay.
let's do a motion.
I would move to approve the agreements between the recommended nonprofit organizations and the city of Richfield and authorize the city manager to execute agreements for services with those agencies.
Second.
Any additional comments from council? Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion has been approved. Thank you. The next item is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing to report tonight.
The next item is claims and payroll. So there was arm wrestling before the meeting, and Councilmember Troutman won. So you get to do claims and payroll since Councilmember Garcia is not here.
Well, we wish Councilmember Garcia, our colleague and friend, all the best this evening, and hope she's doing well. And I would move claims and payroll.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Claims and payroll has been approved. Next item is hats off to Hometown Hits. I'll start with Councilmember Whalen.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. First, want to give it's been a couple weeks now, but wanted to give a thank you to Blanca from our city staff and Ama from Homeline, who helped with my my most recent Let's Talk Richfield event, offering some information about the census and tenants' rights. So just wanted to thank them for their partnership on that. And if folks are still, if they weren't able to make it, I know there was a snowstorm that day. So if you weren't able to make it but wanted more info, you can reach out to me or to them, and we'll gladly get you the resources. And then looking ahead, just wanted to put on people's radar, one, that our next city council meeting will actually be on a Monday night, the 24th, because the 25th, the Tuesday, is local precinct caucuses. So if you're interested, we still have, this year the presidential primary is happening through a vote. Early voting is already open. Election day is on March 3rd, but the caucuses still happen for, that's for local endorsements and setting the party platforms. So I'd encourage people to get involved in your local politics if you're so interested.
Thank you, Councilmember Whalen. Councilmember Supple?
Thank you. I was fortunate to attend the Taft Park Ice Fishing Bowl that was put on from our Parks and Recreation Department in cooperation with the Minnesota DNR, and I think Home Depot got involved as well. And it was a lot of fun seeing all the families out there ice fishing. We didn't catch a lot of fish, but it was a great day and it was a lot of fun at Taft Park. So I would encourage people to get involved in that next year because it was a great fun. Also, the Arts Commission is in the process of doing another poetry contest, and the deadline for submissions is February 14th. They are already receiving a number of poems, but if you want to get yours into the mix, you can go to the website and submit your poem. We've had poetry installed along Portland Avenue and parts of 66th Street, and this part's going to go in the central part of the city on 66th Street. So if you're a poet out there, please submit by February 14th. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Supple. Councilmember Troutman.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of Wood Lake related reminders. We have events going on throughout the winter, not just for kids. There are lots of events and opportunities for kids, but also for grown-ups. I know my wife and a friend of hers did snowshoed and cross-country skied through the snow this weekend, and it's just a great. No reservations, no need. The fee's very nominal, and you just get to go and spend hours in the middle of gorgeousness in Richfield. So if you're feeling cabin fever or stir crazy, go out and visit Wood Lake. It's amazing.
Thank you, Councilmember Troutman. I'd also just like to send warm wishes to Councilmember Garcia. I know she's watching. Every time she is unable to make it, she's always watching from home. So we hope you rest up and feel better, Councilmember Garcia, and join us soon. And I also want to say today, some city staff and I were able to go visit the state capitol and talk to some of our representatives about the 77th Street underpass. And I would just encourage all of our residents and our local organizations that today is the first day of session for the year. And I just encourage everybody to go, whether it's with your family members or your organizations or causes that you're passionate about, and visit your representatives and talk to them about the policy issues that are most important to you and your community, as well as with the governor's office. It's very important that we make sure that they hear the things that matter to us and that they are working and acting on our behalf at the state capitol. So just as a reminder, the session has started today. And lastly, on the 15th of this month, so this Saturday at 9:15 is the next League of Women Voters, the Richfield League of Women Voters meeting at the Audi dealership. And our speaker will be our city's policy analyst, Blanca Martinez Gavinia, and she will be speaking about the city's work on the U.S. Census and the efforts we have here in Richfield. So you're welcome to attend. It's the 15th at 9:15 at the Audi dealership. And with that, we have nothing else, so I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody.